Good afternoon and a warm welcome to everyone that has joined us today for our very last webinar this year. My name is Elizabeth and I've really been looking forward to hosting this webinar, not just because our speaker is my colleague Chris Hall from Charity Digital, but also because the topic is about 10 digital trends for the next year 2022. So after the pandemic year that we've all been through, it seems like life has returned to some sort of normality with in-person events, in-person fundraising coming back. But what lessons have charities learned? What digital skills and trends are we going to hold on to and prioritise and apply to the future? What do we need to do next? Well, Chris, who is our head of marketing, will be discussing these trends and will cover lots of topics such as cashless and contactless payments, automation, the merits of the cloud and the necessity of digital strategy and lots more. It's going to be an insightful session and you'll get a better understanding of the wonderful world of digital and the new and essential digital tools that you can use to boost your digital transformation. As always, I need to briefly mention some house rules. Please feel free to ask questions at any time in the Q&A and we'll answer these at the end. You can vote for your question with a like, with a thumbs up. And we love to make our sessions as interactive as possible. So please feel free to use the chat function to share your experiences, advice and tips as we go along. We do have closed captions available and you can turn these on by clicking on the CC closed caption button. And we're also recording this session and the recording together with the slides and any links or resources will be available on our website soon. And we'll email these to you as well. If we do have any connection issues, I'll jump in and my colleague Zoe in the back end will sort these out as well. Chris, come on. It's over to you. Thank you so much for being our speaker today. I think this is the third Christmas.
Yeah, we were just chatting about it before, and I think that this is me reprising this for the third time. The first one didn't go down so well as it was pre-COVID. I kind of had to throw that out immediately. The last one went all right, and I'm hoping this one is on the money as well, but time will tell. But thanks very much for that lovely introduction, okay. Liz. I'll
hand over to you and I'll turn my camera off.
Lovely, we'll get cracking. Well, hello everybody. It's super. It's really great to be speaking to you all again. I think it's been a while since I've actually been able to run one of these webinars, but as I said, I'm over the moon to reprise my annual Digital Trends webinar. Excuse me. And I know we're getting into the Christmas period, and I thought I'd bring some of that Christmas cheer with me, with my cardigan and my background. Sorry, but I do know time is tight at this time of year, so I do want to extend an extra special thanks for joining me today, and I do promise to do my very best to make it worth your time as well. For those who haven't heard me do one of these before, or those who don't know me, here's a very quick intro to me. I have some stuff on the screen there. I'm Chris Hall, head of marketing here at Charity Digital. I've been here 3 years and oversee all things marketing, from all of our content through to all of our events and our general overall platform growth as well. I've been in the digital sort of tech / for good space getting on for 10 years now, but I've never really felt quite as home or as rewarded as I have at Charity Digital. That being said, I really can't wait, as much of you I'm sure, for the long awaited Christmas break. And I actually think that's quite a good place to kick us off today. So I don't know about you, but this year has been tough. And I found it very tough personally. And I think we have as an organization, and we tend to get that sense from the sector as well. You know, it's took a bit of a toll on us all mentally and some of us physically as well. So I thought we'd start by just doing a little bit of a sense check and see how everybody's feeling out there in the digital sphere. So I'm going to ask you to put 3 numbers out of 10 in the chat just to get us going here. The first is how tough you found the year. Second is how tired you're feeling. And the third is how optimistic are you feeling for 2022. So for me, for example, it'll be an 8 for toughness. It's been hard, constantly changing and not being able to do the things I wanted or needed to do this year. It's a 9 for tiredness. I think my face probably shows it, but I think the tiredness is a direct result of the toughness. You know, everything got a little bit tougher, and the usual sort of business as usual things took a little bit more out of us this year than would have in previous years. And 10, for looking forward to next year. I'm one of those annoying optimists. I can see a few of you coming through as well, which is great. But I do believe that, out of adversity comes opportunity. And while tough, charities have done some incredible things in the last year. And what seems like a blanket adoption of digital opens a lot of doors for charities to progress, and that to me is super exciting. I can see some of you going already, but I'll give you another sort of 20-30 seconds to sort of put your 3 numbers in the chat. There's a lot of similar numbers coming through, and I'm really, really encouraged by the optimism. Actually, I'm loving this. 8s, 10s, 8s, yeah. Yeah, very, very similar, very, very similar to, I think, how we're feeling here at Charity Digital as well. Lots of very tired people, but lots of 10s in the optimism column, which is great to see. Look, and I just want to take this moment to kind of appreciate how tired, how tough it's been this year, and also how optimistic we are as well. I just want to sit back, take a moment, and just give ourselves a little pat on the back for the scope of the challenge we've addressed as a sector this year. Charities were needed more than ever before. Our services were in more demand. Our workforces and volunteer forces, everything grew, and everything became more now. And we did all this all while we were in and out of lockdowns. We moved from working home to blended working. We were having to constantly change our strategies to fit the changing environment. We were receiving less funding from the government, and we had bigger reliance on our own fundraising and the generosity of the general public to drive revenue. And I just want to say it's truly amazing what we've all done. And whether you need to hear it or not, or whether I'm even qualified to say it or not, I just wanted to say great work, everybody. You deserve the break, and enjoy it and rest up while you can. And still, I think what's a credit to the sector that with all that, we're seeing loads of 10s in that optimism column. Which is really encouraging to see. So, for all the hard work, tribulation, and tiredness, we're keen on driving forward, which warms my cockles. Great. So there we go. As I said, I do think there's lots of things to be excited for, and I think there's lots of that sentiment shared in the chat, which is fantastic. But before I reveal our top 10, I'm going to flip it back on you, and I want to ask you what you think will be some of the biggest digital trends of the next year. Same deal. Put what you think will be the biggest trends of 2022 in the chat. Off you go. We'll give 30 seconds for people to put that in. Still waiting on a few to come through. Digital inclusion, yeah, big one. Cashless, very good. Cloud-based solutions, absolutely. So very similar. Hybrid events, email marketing, data, gaming for good. Interesting, all very interesting. Lots of very, very good things, and a lot of overlap there actually, which is good to see. So let's dive in then. Let's see how they compare to what we've got. So the first and most important part of 2022, we believe, is the need for stability. Charities have been moving quickly since the pandemic arrived, adapting to digital and ensuring fundraising and service delivery continued unimpeded. We believe that sense of intensity will fade in 2022, and it'll leave us as charities, with more time to plan and to stabilize and to do things that we do well. Stability should be the key term for charities in 2022. It's time to find our feet, settle, and think about the long term. Stability depends on planning, and it depends on developing both those long and short-term digital strategies. A little bit of, in terms of getting yourself started, we believe that strategy should start with defining your present situation, asking yourself where you would like to go, then setting some realistic targets. Remember the goals that you have should work alongside your mission as well, and they should also motivate your team. And they should be quantifiable above everything else, so you can judge how effective they are in practice and how they work compared to what you've set out to do. As always, a good place to start when setting goals is to meet the 5-point SMART criteria. So making sure your goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timed as well. Those SMART goals build a backbone, and once you have the backbone, you can start then to develop it further by asking yourself some really relevant questions, like who would be involved in the strategy at each stage, designating roles for team members, leaders, volunteers, anyone else who needs to be involved. What do you need via tech or anything else to complete each stage? Sorry, examine your current resources, your current tech infrastructure, how you're resourcing projects, that sort of thing. Where each stage will be complete, so on which platforms, which channels, which tactics, what social platforms are you going to use? Other sort of marketing tactics have you got in your arsenal from a fundraising point of view? When will each stage be completed? That's the timing angle of it. So set timings, but flexibility is important, and make sure you're working in an agile way and not backing yourselves up by working in those waterfall dynamics. Learn as you go. And last but not least, why have you set the above? Determine the factors, wider society, economic environment, pulling what you're setting out to do back to your mission to make sure everything stays on track. And as ever, no digital strategy is effective forever. Charities should be constantly building on them, based on those successes and failures and constant evaluation. An effective digital strategy is a moving target. It's always evolving depending on the demands of the day. And you should look to evolve too, moving and adjusting along with the patterns, the data, the trends, the things that you can see from the performance of the strategy. Charities should really define their digital strategies in 2022 and look, focus on finding that stability. Do what you do well, and build as you go along. Set your 5-year strategy and then set your year on year to be able to get there. Now, many of the 9 trends that are going to follow on to this actually may be part of that strategy, actually, and may help you find that sense of equilibrium and balance and structure as well. So I'll not dwell on this one too much. Let's dive into the rest of them. So a couple of you said there's already in the chat, or number 2 on our list is the increasing inevitability of the cloud. Those of you who use our exchange program will realize that earlier this year, Microsoft announced they're going to pull their on-premise licenses from the program by April 2022. These changes are kind of propelled by Microsoft's goal of better aligning their philanthropic offers to the capabilities and security of the cloud, and what that provides as well. And like many other tech companies, Microsoft have started moving away from these in-premise solutions in favor of cloud-based storage options that have proved increasingly important during COVID-19. And we thoroughly believe that importance is really unlikely to dwindle, but get stronger. There's still some question marks over the ability to cloud, and I think they're fair. The environmental impact that it has. There's some security question marks raised, and the biggest one is sort of trust in third parties to manage things accordingly. But at a time when purse strings are tighter than they usually have been before, and a time when we all work in different areas and collaboration is key, the pros start to really outweigh the cons. And here's a couple of the benefits that cloud storage offers charities. First of all, is the universal access to apps, documents, and so on. Staff can access the cloud from any location, which has proved particularly important due to COVID-19 and the shift to both remote and hybrid working as well. It also offers greater mobility. All tech devices can access the cloud, which means users don't have to remain on one device and can be free to move around using multiple devices, be it a laptop, phone, iPad, or other tablets available, that sort of thing. It also offers improved collaboration, as we know. The cloud provides ample opportunity for real-time collaboration from all members of any given team. This boosts productivity, morale, and gives employees a voice, as well as making things just generally easier. Cloud computing also broadly limits costs due to sort of the pay-as-you-go systems rather than one large expenditure that can prove challenging to many charities. It has a lot more flexibility built into it as well. And it also mitigates risks, as these on-premise solutions mean that data is secure only in that singular device, which can prove risky through accidents, malfunctions, cyber breaches, that sort of thing. It kind of silos data potentially. So lots to look forward to with the cloud. Moving on, I think number 3 on our list is delivering services through virtual reality. We're sticking with tech here. So, virtual reality saw a massive uptick during COVID-19. And the reason, when you think about it, is actually quite clear. With the decline of in-person support, charities really had to get a bit creative. And the creativity relied very much on digital. And we're kind of banking on VR for service delivery being a big sort of upward trend of 2022. because we've seen a lot of charities already see the benefits. NSPCC, for example, has been pioneering the use of a computer simulation program to help tackle child abuse. They teamed up with a gamification provider, Tensite, to create an immersive simulation for people working with children who may be victims of abuse. Program is called Talk to Me, and it's a free-to-use online simulation that aims to build confidence in adults working with children to talk about challenging issues. It can be accessed through web browsers and involves fictional young characters created with 3D modeling that actually mimics body language and facial expressions as well. Real actors have got involved and voiced the characters who are involved in the scenarios that users are guided through also. And in addition to that, you've got real-time feedback that's presented to users depending on how well they've earned children's trust as well. Really sort of pioneering stuff. Another way a charity is using VR is one we've seen quite often, which is offering virtual tours. Acorn's Hospice is using VR headsets to give a reality tour of their facilities with the intention of easing children's minds, so they get to see before they attend the hospice. The tour aims to show children how they will find comfort and a home away from home when they visit. And very similarly, Great Ormond Street Hospital has also been offering 360-degree tour of wards to put young patients at ease prior to the visit. It so takes children through the hospital facilities and surgical theatres, as well as its sort of play and sensory rooms as well. The whole 360 concept and virtual reality tours is also something we're seeing used heavily in sort of the heritage sector as well, which is another component of what we do here at Charity Digital. A lot of museums have been adopting VR 360 tours as well to be able to allow people to visit museums and attractions while from their living room, bedroom, office, that sort of thing. So it's been a really big uptake, and one that we see we really bang to push further forward as we move into 2022. Next on our list is more investment in automation and AI. Now, this is one that I think's been on every one of these things I've done, but the use of automation and AI is becoming more and more prevalent each year. And for that reason, we believe is going to be a pivotal part of 2022 and probably more years to come. Charities again have already started embracing AI due to the gaps in services during the pandemic and a general need just to fill the void, a lot like we said for the VR. I think the best example from the last year has been the use of chatbots. And for those of you who are asking what is a chatbot, chatbots use natural language processing to make life easier for all involved. Chatbots minimize customer service interactions, for example, by answering the basic questions without the need of a human. They can also provide donors with information, lead people in specific directions that you want them to go based on what they're answering, and have even been used to promote fundraising activities as well. Mencap have actually put an Understand Me chatbot on their website, for example. The chatbot is used to guide users and donors through a conversation with Erin, who was born with a learning disability. And the chatbot gives users information about her life while also providing statistics on learning disabilities in the UK. Another great example is This OK, which is a partnership between Runaway Helpline, Childline, and funded by Children in Need as well. That's targeted at those aged between 13 and 18 looking for support or feeling pressured or confused. The chatbot asks them some simple questions before offering useful information or connecting the young person to another real person for a conversation. I mean, the main benefit of a chatbot and the benefit of most AI and automation is that it provides support around the clock, whereas we as humans can be limited to our working hours. We need the breaks, let's face it. The chatbot cannot the chatbot, can be present all day, every day, no breaks, offering support and guidance or seeking donations, even when we're not able to be present. They're a very effective use of AI. They show some of the early possibilities of AI, but there are plenty of other possibilities as well, all of which are worth exploring. Our recommendation when looking at sort of AI and automation, do your research. Explore stuff like deep learning, data ingestion, digital assistants, and anything else you might prove beneficial. Machine learning from a service user point of view is a big one as well. We have a podcast and someone spoke our conference a couple of years ago, the Welcome Centre, of how they used AI and machine learning to deliver better services to their users, a better service to their users as well. We'll make sure to include that as well. But a great example of a small charity leveraging a pro bono partnership with DataKind to to use AI and in automation to deliver much better services. We're a big believer in chatbots, AI, and automation. And believe it or not, chatbots are actually something we're looking at to add to our service going into next year as well. And for that reason, we see for those who need it, it can be a really beneficial time saver and much better user experience for audiences as well. Moving on, another one that was popped in the chat quite frequently, I believe, which is the importance and the rise of cashless and contactless donations. This one is all about fundraising. We can talk about the latest digital trends, about how to improve operations, about using tech for marketing, but ultimately, to run our services, charities depend on donations. We need money. And charities really need to make the act of donation or donating as easy as possible. And here's some interesting facts on that, just to give it some context. Charities in the UK reported a 35% increase in online revenue in 2020. And according to Blackboard, the tech-savvy Gen X donate more frequently than other generations. Adding to that, according to the CAF, there was a sustained increase in cashless giving since March 2020. So it's a trend that's, well, it's already a trend and it's on the rise, it's on the surge. And according to the nonprofit source, 25% of people donate using mobile devices. Mobile devices account for 50% of all internet traffic, and mobile donations continue to grow rapidly. I think what that says in its core message is very clear. This brave new world, this thriving world is digital, and that includes fundraising. Charities need to ensure that they offer the best new payment solutions and need to have cashless and contactless tools in their arsenal. Here's a few to keep an eye out for you, and with a little bit of an explanation as well. Donate buttons, one most people probably know about already, and a staple of any good fundraising page. They're tried and tested and are sort of an essential for anyone using fundraising platforms. Don't forget to keep it simple, consistent, and visible to optimize donations as well. QR codes is something that we've seen on the rise a lot this year. Quick and easy shareable way to direct people to donation forms or petitions on social media or general email campaigns. The good thing about them is you can put them anywhere and everywhere. And there's also a lot of low-cost solutions out there. I've probably seen the fact that we've partnered with BOP, who are one of those low-cost solutions. They're making it super accessible for charities, only charging charities a 0.5 transaction fee. And you actually get your money instantly instead of having to wait weeks or months for in some cases. Text to donate is another one, again, that's been around a while, but you can see these platforms sort of progressing as we move through time. More than 84% of the population have smartphones now. And offering super simple single giving journeys and a more interactive giving experience on the whole makes SMS a great tool for reaching donors, right at their fingertips. Companies like Dora and Instagive have kind of perfected this over the years and have consistently involved their offerings as well to support repeat donations and the new demands of donors. I know donors specifically are branching out and seeing how they can interconnect it with everything else as well. So another sort of donation type that's going to grow further. A bit more of an obscure one, but one to definitely keep an eye on is sort of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Blockchain is this form of technology that allows digital information to be distributed but not copied. This means each piece of data only has one owner. This is helping digital fundraising initiatives as charities can accept payments securely, transparently, and globally without the need to pay currency exchange fees. And we've seen a lot of this creep up already. We've already seen a crypto giving Tuesday that sort of promotes donation, uses blockchain through Bitcoin. And according to their website, actually 14,000 Bitcoin has been donated to charities thus far. The sort of the charities that took part include Save the Children, UNICEF, Global Heritage Fund, Wild Tomorrow Fund. And they're just a few, to be quite honest, of the charities accepting cryptocurrencies as well. Something definitely to keep an eye on in the future. The above is not an exhaustive list as such, but just a couple of old and new methods that charities can use to receive money from donors. Charities need to really sort of digest the above and decide which they need to offer. And it's not a case, and don't get me wrong here, it's not a case of out with the old, in with the new. Buckets, point of sale devices still very much have their place. But more and more fundraising options rise every year, making donations easier, and charities need to meet donors where they are most of all. The best performing charities are using the right tools in unison. For example, Salvation Army are putting QR codes on their buckets, for example. It's really about assessing where your donors are and using the right tools and tactics to make it easier for them to donate. I always tell a story of being in a pub in Shoreditch way back when, in a local under 10s football team were raising some money to go on their annual trip or something. That was that long ago now, I can't really remember. And the young lad came up to us and was like, had his bucket, was like, can you spare any cash for this, that and the other? I didn't have any, and lo and behold, he just whipped out a card machine. Felt like I couldn't say no then. And we all have cards. We have the contactless, quick tap, $5 donated, just like that. It was having that flexibility, meeting my needs as a donor, or meeting how I can donate, that really encouraged me to donate even more. Our advice on that, constantly follow the latest trends. There's a lot of cash and contactless stuff over, which means there's a lot of noise. So you need to constantly research, constantly check in with us and to see what we're saying about it. And always question how you can incorporate them into your fundraising. It's, as I said, it's about using them together. How can it aid your fundraising activity better? How can it support it? How can it make it better? Those are the necessary questions you need to keep asking yourself. One thing that we omitted from the fundraising trend, because we felt like it deserved its own space, is the non-fungible token, or NFTs as they're being referred to these days. But what exactly is an NFT? I hear you cry. Well, the simple answer is that an NFT is a unique and non-interchangeable unit of data that lives on a blockchain that certifies ownership. An NFT can be anything digital, including art, music, visual objects, from video games, it could be social media posts, etc., and so on and so on. They actually caused a lot of noise this year when Jack Dorsey, who's the former CEO of Twitter, sold the first ever tweet as an NFT. Sold it for something like $2.93 million. And they've kind of been rising ever since then, and quite quickly. With all sorts of mainstream websites and services paying a lot of attention to this as well. And now there's a lot of artists, bands, brands, celebrities are getting on the bandwagon as well, with some actually raising funds for charities. Dorsey, for example, donated the money from the sale to Give Directly, a non-profit org that supports people affected by COVID-19 living in extreme poverty in Africa and the US. And in March 2021, Mike Winkelmann, also known as Beeple, sold an NFT for $69 million at Christie's. That was the first purely digital artwork offered at the auction house as well. And he actually didn't stop there. He then sold a piece called Oceanfront as part of the Carbon Drop Initiative as well, which raised a further $6 million for the Open Earth Foundation to combat climate change. Help fight back some of the environmental factors that the cloud and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies cause as well. It's not a case of simply sort of sit and hope an artist, celeb, or influencer is simply going to donate some money made from an NFT. Us as charities can be proactive in this space. For example, we could collaborate with an ambassador, ask them to create an NFT and ask them to sell the item for funds as well. We can also approach existing NFT creators and ask them to get involved with the charity specifically. If a creator wants to donate or auction proceeds to a charity, then they can auction it off using their usual preferred platform. Another option is to get involved with platforms like the Giving Block, which helps charities to get set up to accept crypto donations as well. And they actively fundraise crypto for you as well, which is great. It already supports around 200 US nonprofits, so it's soon going to be making its way to the UK. Or, for the more adventurous charities out there, you could kind of start creating your own NFTs using your own creative assets. You can take anything, your logo, your first tweet, a picture of a charity, artwork from the CEO, whatever you think will sell. For all the animal charities out there, the pictures, there's got to be ultimate infinite pictures of cute dogs, cats, anything else that you could potentially turn into NFTs and auction yourselves. A good example of this is actually charity COVID Aid did exactly that. The charity auctioned off its logo as an NFT, offering the winning bidder the chance to be the world's first founding charity crypto philanthropist. The auction was held on a platform called Foundation. And though it only raised a small amount of money, it did demonstrate how charities can think creatively about using NFTs to tap into a new audience and create a slightly different buzz around what you do. They're still new, they're still exciting, but they are becoming a big part of a digital terrain that charities tend to avoid as well. Ostensibly complex, they're very confusing, perhaps even a bit risky. But NFTs are simply an opportunity to raise more money, something to keep an eye on, something to do your research on, but it might also be something for your org to take a punt on as well. Something to get involved early with and lead the way for other charities. Food for thought. The next one on our list is the risks of social medias and new platforms to look out for. So social media is a beast of its own, absolute beast. And our broad advice is to always pick the platforms that work for you. Keep an eye out on emerging platforms and don't always follow the crowd, follow your audience. But for specific trends, we noticed 2 social media trends that we think will dominate the charity sector in 2022. First one, use caution around tech monopolies. The first thing that we've noticed is the growing aversion to tech monopolies, particularly following the reports from whistleblowers on tech giants like Facebook and the blackouts on Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp in the latter stages of 2021. The whistleblower revealed that Facebook, which is now Meta, had created and preserved a culture where profit was prioritized over responsibility. The Facebook files has covered a lot of ground, but the key points were as follows. The cross-check program made high-profile individuals exempt from standard moderation. Research from Instagram was buried, despite it showing the platform's profoundly negative impact around teenage girls and self-image. Past newsfeed algorithms had pushed divisive political content, and there has been a broad failure to counter misinformation as well. Facebook claimed that the accusations were simply not true. But even without such accusations, the constantly negative stories around Facebook shows that charities need to be cautious about using the tech giants, especially if they rely on them for fundraising practices. Now, on top of that, the platform was also faced blackouts, which adversely affect charity fundraising as well. So what should we do? A couple of good friends of ours, Kirsty Marrons and Zoya Moore, recommend in different articles on our website that diversification is key. While Facebook and other big tech platforms are often essential for raising funds, charities need to ensure they are not reliant on any singular platform. In the same way that they should not rely on any singular income stream as well. In short, diversifying is a form of risk aversion. Kirsty Marrons offers some advice for charities to diversify, including building your own email lists, investing more in ads, and improving your SEO as well. While Zoya Moore adds that charities can also take stock of your digital tools, devise different advertising plans, boost your own newsletters, and talk to other charities about what they're doing as well. There's also a lot of other social platforms that you can look to as well. Pinterest, Reddit, Snapchat, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, and others. You can all raise funds through these as well. The key is just to limit dependency while also prioritizing social media platforms that conform to your charity's needs. The second trend to look out for is the rise of interactive social platforms like Clubhouse and Spaces. So socials have actually kind of become less social in recent years, is the general feel around charity digital. The focus has been on the posting, not the interaction. And many of the older social networks are starting to move towards that actual interaction again. A new player on the scene during lockdown was Clubhouse, and that's had a significant impact on social consumption, particularly in the charity sector. It was founded in 2020 by Paul Davidson and Rohan Seth. Clubhouse is an audio-only social media app that encourages conversation and discussion. It's purely about interaction. It's organized into rooms and a feed known as the hallway or corridor. And there are also clubs hosting regular rooms that you can follow as well. Twitter actually followed up with a similar platform named Twitter Spaces. And Clubhouse and Spaces actually overlaps. There's a lot of the same features there, but Spaces doesn't offer a place to show which spaces are happening at any given time, for example, nor does it offer any sort of really good analytics either. But we're led to believe that there is a Spaces dashboard coming soon. The rise of truly social and interactive platforms is an interesting trend, which is reminiscent of sort of the live streaming trend in 2020 and 2021. Live streaming then could be seen as a reaction to kind of the inauthenticity of standard social posting. Written posts are often planned. Recorded video posts often filmed several times. Images had filters and so on, but live streaming seemed authentic because you existed in the moment. You broadly interacted in real time. And all other major social channels have started to notice this trend as well. And they did soon offer their own version of live streaming. Even Twitter, who fleetly sort of introduced fleets, actually, before again taking it down at a later date. The discussion-based platforms offer this real-time interaction above all else, and Clubhouse have led the way, quickly followed by Twitter Spaces, and I really wouldn't be surprised if there were other major players to follow very, very soon. Something to keep an eye on for those better, deeper interactions with donors and service users as well. Next up is email marketing. It remains an essential tool of what we do. It's perhaps the most popular and most successful form of marketing, which charities of all shapes, sizes, missions should be using. And there's a couple of stats to prove that. Email results in 1/3 of online fundraising revenue, according to Salsa. It's not really surprising considering the world has more than 3.7 billion email users, according to Statista. There are 3 times as many email accounts as there are Facebook and Twitter accounts combined, believe it or not. And yep, that surprised me too. And organizations are 6 times more likely to get a click through from an email than they are from Twitter, for example. And a further 59% of marketers claim that email is their greatest return on investment, according to Emma as well. So email marketing has huge fundraising potential. Good email marketing allows charities to make a personalized, optimized appeal to hundreds, thousands, or in some really good cases, millions of potential donors, all with a little preparation and the swift click of a button. It also allows for a user to create those individual donor journeys as well and set people up to stay with you for long times. It allows us charities to nurture giving from that welcome moment all the way through to payment, from that thank you moment all the way through to re-engagement as well. And actually, email marketing software is not particularly costly either. In 2022, as email marketing continues to grow, our key advice is to invest in it. Follow the trends, stay ahead of the curve, spending a little money now to secure larger funds in the future. As we said at the beginning, 2022 is all about planning and prioritizing the future. And we believe email plays a key role in that. But like with any tech, how do you find the best email marketing software for your charity? Well, here are some potential options to get you started with. We've also added a little bit of info about each, but do remember to look at each and carry out your own research as well. So .digital, this allows you to design, send emails at low rates. Those low rates are actually available through Charity Digital. We have what a .digital sort of white label solution called Charity Digital Mail, which is our perfect hosts sort of area of oversight here at Charity Digital. So feel free to get in touch with Liz if you're interested more about that. But the platform provides tools such as integrated automation, segmentation, reporting, and personalization. So charities can make the most of their time and effort. And as I said, shameless plug, we are able to offer that at super low rates to charities as well. MailChimp is also one of the most popular options. That allows you to build emails in plain text, customize with code, or use one of the pre-existing templates as well. The templates are designed via MailChimp's drag and drop tool, which is versatile and easy to use. And it also offers the integrated image edit feature as well, which means you can build a full email without having to leave the site, which is handy. ActiveCampaign is another versatile platform that prides itself on its automation. It puts an automated builder at the heart of what it is as a platform, which is a canvas for building marketing sequences across channels. Its design enables anyone, regardless of skills or expertise, to craft powerful email automation sequences from scratch or by importing over 500 automation recipes as well. GetResponse allows you to create strong and attractive emails and access analytics to track their performance too. So all helps you make use of the strong list management services and send transactional emails as well. It also offers conversion funnel that charities can use to build pages, automate, sell products, manage customers, build those donor journeys that we're talking about as well. And lastly, Sendex. offers a drag and drop features that make the platform builder easy to set, easy to master. It ensures you don't have to build email from scratch. You can use one of many templates that suit your brand. It's affordable, intuitive, and allows users to design, schedule, and track email marketing campaigns. You can upload an opted-in email list, create reports, measure clicks, and a lot more. And we've got heaps of additional information on these platforms and more platforms in our best email marketing software of 2022 article. We'll definitely be sending these around in the resources after the fact, where we do a little bit of analysis on the best platforms out there. Want to kind of get you started as you and give you a little bit of a hand as you start your 2022 email marketing journey. Next up, the year of hybrid everything. Again, this was a popular one in the chat when we talked about this a little bit earlier. Let's start with some good news. Despite this Omicron variant that's sort of making its way very strongly through London at the minute, we do believe that physical events and fundraising will return in full steam throughout 2022, complete with nibbles and in-person talks, perhaps even the occasional handshake. Well, maybe not that, actually. We might leave that one for a little bit. And the better news is that digital events and fundraising will continue as well, complete with the pajama bottoms and dressing gown, Zoom and Remo, the whole 9 yards. The whole future of events and fundraising is hybrid, and it's an exciting time to be in this space, to be quite honest. Indeed, everything is going to be hybrid. We have the hybrid fundraising, we have hybrid service delivery, hybrid events, hybrid working, and the key trend for charities here is to make sure they equip themselves with the right tech to embrace hybrid as well. And there's tons of benefits for doing so. Overcoming geographical limitations. You're able to reach a much wider audience. Through that ease of access, through people being able to access your content, your events, your donor journeys from anywhere in the world effectively. It limits the costs of travels and other expenditures, venue hire, all the stuff that comes with it. And moreover, it amplifies your voice. It amplifies your voice, it amplifies your reach, and it also amplifies the voices of others that may not necessarily be as comfortable in person. It gives them that accessibility over a screen as well. It's always important to consider the benefits and think how you can change to make the most of hybrid offerings. The charities of the future, we believe, will think creatively, adapting their tech to ensure they can effectively deliver hybrid in all areas. There is one word of warning. We hear talk of over-automation, the idea that certain tasks that require the human touch have been automated, which creates more work and more room for error. And there's a similar risk with hybrid. Certain processes still require that human touch rather than the digital approach. So ensure that you judge each process individually. Do not naturally assume that digital or non-digital is better. That is particularly true when it comes to service delivery, for example, as many users will require that human element. And attempts to go totally digital may prove fruitless, inefficient, and sometimes offensive in some cases. So like everything else in life, it's about balance, but assess, in terms of a hybrid strategy, assess things individually. Assess your fundraising different to what you would your service delivery, and make sure you bring in the tech to support those individual activities as well. And last but certainly not least is do not forget about cybersecurity. And we're going to end with a bit of a word of caution here. Of course, all of the above is important, and the use of tech and digital opens charities up to vulnerabilities. Yes, charities need to be reactive, but they also need to be proactive, and that means ensuring cybersecurity measures alongside the adoption of tech. We at Charity Digital have long understood the importance of cybersecurity. We've talked about it constantly in 2021, publishing articles on ransomware, phishing scams, malware, and loads of other security trends as well. We've tried to raise awareness, tried to show how to prevent cyber breaches and how to react in the event of a breach. We've hosted podcasts and webinars, all in the name of raising awareness, and we think we've been successful changing a few minds in the sector. But we wanted to prepare for 2022, so we decided to work with the NCSC to gain a better understanding of the relationship between cybersecurity and the sector in whole. So this year, the NCSC and ourselves conducted a survey to gauge the attitudes and capabilities of the UK charity sector when it comes to cybersecurity. The aim of the survey was to improve our understanding of charity cybersecurity and to identify areas of improvement and key vulnerability areas as well. And the findings were a mixed bag, both hopeful and sobering, actually. The hopeful good news is that charities really do understand the importance of cybersecurity. More than 95% of respondents both think and show that cybersecurity is important. With actually further 7 in 10 citing it as extremely important. And many charities have taken action as well, with nearly half installing cybersecurity software in the last year, and a further 46% have invested in more training and attended more cybersecurity events. So charities understand the impact of cyber attack, and they understand that it's important, but the survey also told us some other perhaps more interesting points. Charities understand the importance, but don't actually rate their own cybersecurity very highly. They actually rated their own cybersecurity as just quite a measly 6 out of 10. Why is that? Why are charities aware of cyber but fail to implement proper security? Lots of charities suggested that they had other areas that were more important than cybersecurity. More than 1 in 10 said they had other areas of priority and focus, particularly fundraising, service delivery, which is understandable during pandemic, to be quite honest. While 7% felt they lacked the required skills and training to improve. Our survey shows that there is a clear role for leadership to play when it comes to embedding cybersecurity throughout an organisation. But currently our leaders are not doing enough, and that there appears to be a disconnect between their knowledge and that of managers they support. To put this into perspective a little bit, only sort of 54% of CEOs said their organization deals with sensitive user data, compared to 95% of cybersecurity professionals. CEOs also place more importance on service delivery, governance, fundraising, finance, and strategy higher than cybersecurity. And similarly, nearly 44% of respondents from the C-suite area said they were not aware that their organization had a cyber security resilience strategy at all. And more than a quarter of trustees, and more than 3/4 of trustees, sorry, at 78% reported the same, despite 58% of managers saying that they did have one. On the whole, the survey shows that confidence is high for leaders and that organizations have faith in the influence on matters of cybersecurity. However, it is quite evident that skill levels need to catch up with that faith, or else leadership kind of risks taking their organization's cybersecurity for granted. Another worrying statistic is that 5% said outright that they were not worried about a cybersecurity breach. Given the risks that cyber threats pose, leaking sensitive data, disruption to service delivery, high fines, reputational damage, it always remains a little disheartening that any charity would not be concerned over a data breach or a cyber attack. 25% of charities reported an attack during the pandemic, according to both our own surveys and reports to the ICO as well. And if we keep following that trajectory for the years to come, that means 45,000 charities will suffer a cyber attack in their lifetime. And with fines reaching anywhere from thousands of pounds to millions of pounds, and not counting the reputation damage, you'd think that you'd want to make sure that your charity is not one of those 45,000. And yes, that's a lot of info, but to put it all in context, charities are aware that cybersecurity is an issue, but do not seem to prioritize the problem. Combating this is educating yourself, and education is that first line of defense. As individuals, we can upskill ourselves by attending trainings, reading content, or chatting to others in the sector. We can use that education to upskill and train, our team members, or we can lobby internally to get leadership to take this more seriously. Both ourselves and the NCSC offer plenty of resources to help charities strengthen their online security. The risk we face and how to get board and leadership buy-in as well. And in terms of tech, that's where we can help you out as well. Charities and eligible nonprofits can get access to a lot of different products like Avast and Bit to Vendor through us here at Charity Digital as well. And that is me. That's 10 things to keep an eye out for next year. Thank you for listening. We got through that very quickly. I know it was a lot of information, but all relevant in their own right. And I want to sort of end by bringing us back to the beginning. Next year's needs to prioritize that stability and strategy above all else. We need to take next quarter to really assess our goals and plan our long and short-term map, and map how we can realize them as well. If I don't get a chance to say it before after the questions, I just want to say have a very, very happy holidays, Merry Christmas, enjoy all your well-earned break, and let's come back swinging in January.
Indeed, brilliant. That was really packed with information, facts
It
and
was
tools.
heavy.
Thank you.
Sorry.
It was heavy. That's really good. I think that our listeners will also have to watch the recording as well. I have to hold my head in shame, Chris, because email marketing is my domain, but I didn't know those stats. So thank you very much for that. Loads of positive takeaways and valuable advice. And yep, we've got a couple of questions. So we will move over to those. We've also had a bit of a chat. I don't know whether you can have a look, Chris. I know that you haven't been keeping an eye on it because obviously, you know, you've got your presentation. Yeah. And talking about Evershare provides cashless donations via a QR code for charities and that are not necessarily registered either. So that's really mainly, I'm saying it for the recording so people know that are going to be listening. Okay, let's move over into our first question from Dan. Are there concerns from our trustees around the environmental impact of crypto? Is there any advice on the facts around this?
Can you just repeat the start? I'm going to open questions, sorry.
Sure.
Well.
Are there any concerns from our trustees around environmental impact of crypto? Is there any advice on the facts around this?
I think it's a like the cloud, it's a relevant sort of concern. You know, it does have some environmental impact, but I think without sounding too insensitive, and I don't mean to be here to, you know, to make an omelette, you have to break a few eggs as well. I was really lucky enough to go to Antarctica a few years, and the guy who took me down there, like on a climate change expedition, and the guy who took me down there was you know, we went down on a ship, and I think part of that was going down. You know, a big part, you know, we had to spend gallons and gallons of fuel to get us there as well. I think. And sort of what I'm saying by that, to put this into context, is that I think crypto is going to play its part in the future. The blockchain side of crypto is highly secure. It'll have to get better, as will the cloud, in terms of the storage that it provides. But if it's something that you believe your charity can really make the most of, then it's worth fighting for. I think there are legitimate concerns around environmental impact, but there's a lot of concerns about other sort of stuff we do as well in the charity sector around environmental impact also. So it's all about finding balance, finding equilibrium. And as I said, the crypto side of it, the blockchain side of it, the cloud side of it will have to catch up as part of it.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, let's move on. Are there any good resources to help with digital audit for your charity and help you shape a future digital plan?
Yes, we've got loads of good stuff on this, and I'll have Zoe take a note. We've got an article on literally how to conduct a digital audit, how to take a look at your digital infrastructure, and all those types of things. We've also did a great webinar. Although it was about a year ago, it's still very, very relevant. That was done by our CEO, Jonathan, who walks through step-by-step process to create a digital strategy as well, and how big of a part infrastructure plays in that. Our general sense here at Charity Digital is, you know, all strategies should be digital. It's not about having digital as part of your strategy. So it's about thinking with that hat on. You know, a digital marketing plan doesn't make a digital strategy, you know, and you've got to think about it holistically. We actually have a really good ebook as well, which I'll make sure we send out to you, which covers a lot of this. The very first chapter in that is about infrastructure and understanding what you have and understanding your digital capabilities and skill sets before you even go on to make a digital strategy. So Zoe, make a note of that, and we'll make sure to get that report out, because it's a very, very useful, very useful ebook.
Okay, great. We have a question from Emma with regards to email marketing. Do you have any tips to avoid falling into spam? Can I just say that I did actually do a webinar on this quite a while ago now. And if you go onto our website and if you search and put in the keywords, then hopefully it will bring it up and you can have a look at the PowerPoint presentation. It is quite meaty as well.
Spam's an interesting one at the minute, Emma, because they've got a lot more sensitive, and I think it's like
a lot more.
It's big tech's way of trying to show that they're trying to do something about it, but we obviously talk about a lot of cybersecurity content. If we put phishing or cyber attack in any emails, they automatically go to spam. Even the tests go to spam. So it's ever changing. We've just done, I know Liz has done a webinar on it. We've just done a new article about how to, some new things to look out for, but it's become a lot more sensitive to the words you use within it. So it's not just a case of, previously you had to look at the size of the images, the file size of the emails, whether your alt text and stuff like that. There's a lot more influence on the words itself. There's also specific tech things that you can set up as well. And this is going to drive me mad because I can't remember it. One thing we had to do when we changed from or changed new platforms is reset up our D something. Let me come back.
Okay.
No, it wasn't that. It was basically to do with our servers and setting it up in the right way, that there was a spam. There was almost like a Twitter blue tick on the email account. It's DKIM. Thank you, Matt.
DKIM, that's it. DKIM, that was it. It was on the tip of our tongue. Thanks, Matt.
I knew he was doing something brilliant, Matt. Thanks very much. Yeah, the DKIM, make sure that's insured, is one thing. And we saw our spam test rates go from 75% back to 85%, which is about the average. So I'll make sure that is all clued in as well. More knowledgeable than I ever was at this point in time, because we've just had to go through something similar, Emma. So
it's a painful process, but like you say, it's ever changing and you've got to keep up with the times. It is, definitely.
And as I was saying, it's so important as well to lose that 10% is the difference between, it could be thousands of pounds to a specific charity. So I would definitely check DKIM set up correctly, and pay more attention to the words that you're using within it as well.
And also check out the platform that you're using to do your email marketing.
Absolutely.
So I'd say that. Okay. And see what DKIM they have in place as well. So another question, we are running a Christmas appeal. Do you know of any resources platforms we are particularly good for running campaigns?
I hate to do this sort of answers, but it depends. And I'm sorry, it really depends on the type of campaign that you're running, to be quite honest. And it would be hard to sort of give good advice without knowing that, to be quite honest. If it's fundraise, it depends what type of appeal. If you're looking to sort of do a fully digital one, is it direct marketing, digital marketing, is it social marketing? It all kind of depends. If you're looking for more, I can speak to what we know and what we have on the Charity Digital Exchange. We have BOP, which is great for QR. It's great for its low-cost solution. It also makes sure you get your money instantly. Very QR code based. There's also some emailing as well. But again, I'm wary of pushing you down one road without knowing the full scope of what you're trying to do. Sorry about that. But if you do pop it in the chat, I'll come back to you.
Okay, fantastic. Lauren is saying, is there some guidance available on developing a cyber security strategy?
Loads, absolutely loads. Loads and loads and loads. We do a lot of this stuff, and the NCSE are absolutely brilliant at it as well. So we work very closely with them. Cybersecurity is a big focus for Charity Digital, as a you might have been able to tell there in the last sort of 5 minutes of the webinar. It's something we really want to change the minds of in the sector, because you can see it's quite divisive in the sense that we all get it, but what do we do about it? And there's a real issue obviously with leaders being able to adopt that as well. So the NCSC have a load of different guidance that you can access through us or through them. They have a good sort of overview report of what risks to look out for, how to create a sort of resilience strategy is one of their ebooks as well, and how to get board buy-in. Brilliant, all brilliant resources that really sets you up to learn more. We've also we have a risk and compliance topic section of our website as well, which I'd highly recommend going and checking out. We talk about cybersecurity strategy, resilience, all those sorts of things on there as well. And we almost producing content weekly. We did a podcast very recently on cybersecurity and setting it up, and why we shouldn't be afraid of talking about breaches. We should be learning from them. But yeah, there's a lot out there. And again, in the resource section, keep an eye on your emails for this coming out. We'll point you all those directly as well.
Okay, brilliant. That's it with our questions. And that's it for today. We've run out of time.
No.
That was brilliant. Thanks so much, Chris. Just a heads up that in the new year, we'll be kicking off our webinars with a Charity Digital Code of Practice webinar series on the 11th of January. And on the 25th, we are offering a 3-part series on everything you need to know about Microsoft 365. Our annual Be More Digital conference will take place again in March, which Chris has talked about, which seems like a long way off, but I'm sure it will creep up on us in the usual speedy fashion. Thank you once more to Chris. Thank you to our listeners for joining us today. I wish you all a very happy Christmas. Have a great break and a happy new year to everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye now.